The world of professional wrestling, loud, brash, theatrical, was not built in silence. It was built on the backs of legends. And one of those legends, perhaps the most iconic of them all, took his final bow on Thursday, July 24. Hulk Hogan, the man with the 24-inch pythons, the red and yellow icon, the immortal presence who defined an era, has died. And with that news, an era has ended. But before the tears, before the mourning, came the words of a man who helped create the stage upon which Hogan became myth. Vince McMahon, co-founder of WWE, did not hold back. In a post shared to X, the former CEO etched Hogan's name into eternity with a declaration as bold as the man himself. The greatest WWE superstar of all time. Let those words settle in. Because this wasn't said in passing. It wasn't whispered. It was shouted into the annals of history by the very man who orchestrated modern wrestling's explosion. The man who took a regional circus and turned it into a global empire. McMahon knew exactly what he was saying. He wasn't just praising a wrestler. He was honoring a phenomenon. A movement. A man who transcended tights and turnbuckles and became something else, a cultural force. In the 1980s, as America grappled with its identity, as pop culture collided with sport and spectacle, there stood Hogan, ripping shirts, flexing muscles, dropping legs. He was the face on lunchboxes, the voice in action figures, the warrior of Saturday morning cartoons. He was the WWE. And McMahon, who bet it all on that golden-haired powerhouse, never forgot what Hogan did for his company. His grit and unbridled thirst for success were unparalleled, McMahon wrote, and those who watched Hogan rise know those words ring true. He wasn't the most technical. He wasn't the flashiest. But he was unstoppable. A performer in every cell of his being. A showman who understood that wrestling was more than sport, it was storytelling, and he was the hero. From WrestleMania I to body-slamming Andre the Giant, from battling Macho Man Randy Savage to facing The Rock in a generational clash, Hogan was always at the center of the storm. The nucleus around which everything else revolved. The crowd didn't just cheer for Hogan. They lived through him. Say your prayers, eat your vitamins, believe in yourself. It was more than a catchphrase. For millions of children, it was gospel. Vince McMahon built the platform, but it was Hogan who grabbed the mic and shouted to the heavens. His reach extended far beyond the squared circle. He starred in movies, commercials, TV shows. His silhouette, bandana, mustache, and all, was recognized in every corner of the world. There was no wrestling without Hulkamania. And now, the man who defined generations is gone. But legends don't die. They echo. McMahon's tribute is not just personal. It's institutional. It is the highest recognition one can receive from the empire Hogan helped build. That recognition isn't based on stats or title reigns, it's based on impact. And Hogan's impact, immeasurable. He brought in the casual fans. The first-timers. The skeptics. He made believers out of all of them. People who never watched another match still remember him tearing off that shirt. Still remember the booming music. Still remember the Hulkster cupping his ear and soaking in the love of thousands. There were bigger wrestlers, more agile wrestlers, better technicians, but no one could electrify a crowd like Hulk Hogan. To McMahon, Hogan wasn't just a superstar. He was the proof of concept. He was the living, breathing embodiment of what wrestling could become when fused with charisma, timing, and relentless ambition. And even in times when their relationship was strained, even when the headlines were less than flattering, McMahon never erased Hogan from the story. Because he couldn't. Because the story doesn't exist without him. So now, we remember the man not just for his matches, but for the mania. The shaking ropes. The unstoppable comebacks. The immortal poses. For the moments where you knew, just knew, that when Hogan pointed that finger at his opponent and wagged it with righteous fury, magic was about to happen. McMahon's words remind us that even in a business filled with personas and promos, legacy is real. Hulk Hogan's legacy is etched in the soul of wrestling. From the top rope to the front page. From Madison Square Garden to the Tokyo Dome. From action figures to video games. From fathers to sons to grandsons. Hogan crossed generations. He united people under one banner, entertainment. He was flawed. He was larger than life. He was everything wrestling needed him to be, and more. And in Vince McMahon's tribute, we find the final confirmation. That in the eyes of the man who orchestrated the wrestling world as we know it, Hulk Hogan stands alone at the top. The greatest, the performer, the icon, the show. So let the bells toll in every locker room. Let the arena lights dim for just a moment longer. Let the crowd chant his name once more. Because while Terry Bollea may have passed, Hulk Hogan lives forever. Brother.